The Night We Shouldn't Have Touched. Chapter 1, The Visit. When the knock came, Thomas already knew it would be her. A man knows certain things without needing a reason. He opened the door and saw Anna standing there with her hair damp from the mist. Behind her stood Michael, his face set and tired. They looked like travelers who had come a long way, even though the town was small and the night had been short. "Morning," Anna said. Her voice was steady, but something underneath it had been strained. Thomas stepped back to let them in. The house was warm, though not warm enough to make anyone comfortable. Michael brushed past with a nod. "You two are early," Thomas said. Anna moved to the window and looked out. The street was quiet except for a fisherman pulling a cart toward the boats. The morning light was pale and slow, as if unsure of itself. "We didn't sleep," she said. Thomas believed her. He closed the door with a soft click and leaned against it. The wood felt damp, the way old doors do in months that carry more sea than wind. Michael stood near the table and rubbed his hands together. His eyes were restless. He looked at Anna, then at Thomas, and then back at Anna again. "We need to talk," he said. Thomas let the words settle before he answered. "You always need to talk. The question is whether you're ready to hear anything." Michael stared at him. It wasn't anger. It was the exhaustion of a man who had worn his temper down to the bone. Anna turned from the window. "Not like this," she said. "Let's sit." They sat at the table. It was an old table made of fur, scuffed from years of coffee cups and tools and evenings where no one said quite what they meant. On mornings like this, the grain seemed to carry old voices. Thomas poured coffee for them all. The steam rose in quiet curls, almost shy. Anna wrapped her hands around the cup. Michael didn't touch his. Thomas took his seat. "All right," he said. "Tell me why you're here." Anna breathed out slowly, as if the breath carried something she didn't want to keep. "We left the house," she said. "We left before dawn." "Why?" "Because it was turning," she said. "You know it was." Michael leaned forward. "We didn't come to argue." "Then what did you come to do?" Michael let out a short exhale. "To say what needs to be said." Thomas watched him. The man looked older than he had a month ago. Not in years, but in the wear around the eyes. The kind that comes when a person has been carrying too much truth too quietly. Anna sipped her coffee and set the cup down. Her hands trembled once, then stilled. "There's no point circling around it," she said. "The three of us have been living in a way that won't hold." Thomas sat back. The chair creaked. Outside, the gulls started calling. Their cries were sharp and lonely and too close. Michael looked at the table. "We thought coming here, talking here, might be better." "It isn't," Thomas said. Anna met his eyes. There was no anger in hers. Only the kind of sadness that knows itself well. "We had to try," she said. Thomas nodded. Not because he agreed, but because refusing to nod would require something he didn't have this early in the morning. He looked at their faces. Anna's tired grace, Michael's worn restraint, and felt a slow ache move through his chest. "All right," he said. "Say the rest." There was a long pause. Not the kind that fills with tension, but the kind that fills with what has already been decided. Michael finally spoke. "We're leaving town." Thomas didn't move. "Both of you?" Anna nodded. "Yes." "For how long?" She looked at her hands. "For good." The words hit the room and stayed there. Thomas felt them the way a man feels cold water. A shock first, then a sinking. "For good," he repeated. Michael shifted in his chair. "It's gone too far. Everything. The house. The nights. The waiting. We can't do another winter like that." Thomas let out a breath that felt too warm in his chest. "You knew the winters when you came." "It wasn't the winter," Anna said. "It was what we became inside it." Thomas stared at the window. The fisherman had reached the pier. He tied the cart to a post and wiped his brow. The sea was calm, but not convincingly. Anna's voice came soft behind him. "Thomas." He turned back. "I didn't come to hurt you," she said. "You don't have to try," he said. "It happens either way." Michael's jaw tightened. "Don't put this on her." "I don't put anything on her," Thomas said. "I only speak what's there. You speak what suits you. And you speak what you're afraid of." Michael rose from his chair. The movement was sudden but not violent. He stood for a moment, hands on the back of it, breathing slow. Anna stood too. "Stop," she said quietly. "Both of you." Thomas rubbed his forehead. The room felt smaller. He wished it didn't. "This isn't the place for a fight," she said. "No," Thomas said. "But it seems to be the place where everyone comes to start one." Anna looked at him long enough for the silence to turn heavy. Then she let out a small breath and stepped toward the door. "We should walk," she said. "Outside." Michael nodded. He took his coat from the peg and slipped it on. Thomas didn't move. "You're coming," Anna said. Thomas shook his head. "I don't see the point." "Then come for the air," she said. "Just the air." He looked at her. Something about the way she said it made refusal feel like cowardice. "All right," he said. They stepped outside. The street held the smell of wet stone and distant tide. The sky was lifting into a muted blue. They walked toward the harbor, keeping an even pace. The three of them looked like people bound by something heavy, though none of them touched. At the pier, the wind picked up. It brushed Anna's coat and sent her hair across her face. She tucked it back behind her ear. Michael shoved his hands deeper into his pockets. Thomas stood near the end of the pier and looked out at the water. It had that gray sheen it got in the mornings after a storm. It looked honest. Anna came to stand next to him. Michael stopped a little behind them. "You could come with us," she said. Thomas kept his eyes on the water. "You know I won't." "You could." He shook his head. "I'm not built for leaving." Anna watched him with an expression that mixed fondness and frustration. "You're built for more than you think," she said. Thomas smiled without humor. "That's what everyone says before they leave." Michael stepped closer. "We're not asking you to follow us. We're telling you we're going because staying would break something we can't repair." "And leaving won't?" Michael hesitated. "It will break something else. But less of it." Thomas let that settle. It didn't sit well, but it sat true. Anna stepped in front of him. "Thomas, listen." Her voice was steady again, but her hands were not. She reached out, then stopped herself. "This isn't running," she said. "It's choosing a life." Thomas met her eyes. "And what were we living here?" "A life we couldn't keep," she said. Michael crossed his arms. "None of us could." Thomas looked at him. "Where will you go?" "We don't know yet," Anna said. "A place inland. Somewhere quiet." Thomas nodded slowly. "And that's enough?" "It has to be," she said. Thomas felt a slow heaviness settle in his ribs. Not pain. Not yet. But something like the weight of a tide coming in. A gull swooped low over the water and let out a call that echoed off the boats. Michael looked toward town. "We should start back." Anna didn't move. She kept her eyes on Thomas. "You'll be all right," she said softly. Thomas wanted to tell her she was wrong. That people don't become all right just because someone wants them to. But he didn't say it. He only nodded once. Michael turned to go, but Anna stayed one more moment. She reached out, touched Thomas's sleeve, and let her hand rest there. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Thomas didn't pull away. "I know." She let go. Then she turned and followed Michael up the pier. Thomas stayed where he was. He listened to their steps fade and then vanish into the morning. The fisherman on the other side of the harbor waved to him. Thomas lifted a hand in return. The gesture felt foreign. He turned back to the water. The tide was rising now. Slow. Certain. He watched it come in until the sun broke over the far ridge. Only then did he let himself feel the cold. Anna and Michael reached the street. They walked close but not touching. They spoke low. "We shouldn't have said it like that," Anna murmured. Michael shook his head. There wasn't another way. He took it hard. He was always going to. She looked back once. Thomas was still at the end of the pier, a small figure against the vast water. "Do you think he'll be all right?" she asked. Michael didn't answer for a while. When he finally did, his voice was quiet. "I think he'll have to decide that." They kept walking. The road curved away from the sea. The mist began to lift, but with it came a new weight in the air, something like the beginning of a choice that none of them yet understood. Thomas stayed at the pier long after the sun rose. The light grew warmer, but his chest did not. He watched the boats move. He watched the water shift. He watched the sky turn from gray to a thin, indifferent blue. When he finally turned toward town, he did so slowly, like a man walking away from something he could not name. His house waited for him on the quiet street. The door stood closed, but the air around it felt unsettled. He approached it with the careful steps of someone stepping back into a life that no longer fit. When he put his hand on the handle, he paused. He didn't know why. Inside the house, the coffee still steamed faintly on the table. He closed the door behind him. The sound echoed through the empty rooms. It echoed longer than it should have. Outside, a wind rose from the east. It was not strong, but it held a promise of change. It moved through the narrow streets. It lifted the gulls into new currents. It carried the faintest scent of rain. And somewhere along the road out of town, Anna felt the shift and looked back. Not with regret, but with something sharper. Something the morning had not yet named. Chapter 2: The Morning Road. The road out of town bent around the low marsh and climbed toward the ridge. It was a narrow road, built for fishermen and wanderers, and for those who carried more thoughts than bags. Anna and Michael walked it slowly, each step measured. The mist clung to the grass and drifted across their legs. Neither spoke for a long time. Anna kept her hands deep in her coat pockets. She liked the feel of fabric around her fingers. It steadied her. Michael walked with his head slightly bowed, as if listening for something in the earth rather than the air. He had always walked like that when he was trying not to think too loudly. "You should have told him sooner," he said at last. Anna didn't look at him. "I know. It wasn't fair." "Fair to whom?" Michael pressed his lips together. "To him." She stopped on the side of the road. The view opened to the harbor far below, with its boats scattered like broken shells. Thomas was somewhere down there, moving through the morning like a man still learning how to breathe without a shadow beside him. Anna let out a long breath. There was no way to do it without hurting him. There are cleaner ways. Not in this case. Michael stepped onto the grass and looked down at the harbor. You could have given him more time. He would have used it to hope. Michael didn't answer. They continued walking. The road straightened, and the town fell behind them like a memory that had grown too heavy to carry. Back in town, Thomas sat at his kitchen table. The coffee had cooled into a thin film of brown, but he didn't care. The house felt different now. Not worse. Just emptied. Like someone had taken a picture from the wall and the outline remained. He rubbed his hands together. The skin felt colder than the room. The clock on the shelf ticked in its slow, stubborn rhythm. Its regularity annoyed him. Nothing about this morning felt regular. He pushed his chair back and stood. The legs scraped the floor louder than he expected. Everything seemed louder now. He opened the door and stepped outside. The air had warmed slightly, though the wind still carried the bite of the past storm. The street was coming alive. 2 boys kicking a ball against a stone wall, an old woman sweeping her doorstep, a fisherman carrying nets over his shoulder. Life indifferent. Thomas walked toward the harbor. He needed to be near the water. He always did when something shifted inside him. The boards of the pier were damp but firm. He walked to the edge and looked out. The tide had reached its full height. The water rose and fell in long, slow breaths. "Morning, Thomas." He turned. It was Eric, the fisherman from earlier. A stout man with a sun-cracked face and a thick cap pulled down over his ears. "Morning," Thomas said. "You're out early. Couldn't stay in. Storm do something to the house?" "It did something," Thomas said. "But not to the house." Eric nodded as if he understood, though he didn't ask for details. That was the thing about men who worked the sea. They knew when not to pry. "Wind shifting," Eric said. "Might get another squall." Thomas looked at the clouds forming on the horizon. "Seems like it." Eric tightened a rope around a cleat. "You heading out today?" "Don't know. Sometimes it helps," Eric said. "The water. The work." Thomas looked at him. "Sometimes it doesn't." Eric shrugged. "Still worth doing." Thomas nodded. He stayed there for another moment, watching Eric's hands move with a kind of quiet authority. Then he turned and walked back toward town. The day already felt long. On the ridge, Anna and Michael reached the old fence that marked the last point where the harbor could be clearly seen. Beyond it, the road dipped into thick woodland. Anna stopped and looked back once more. You think he'll be angry? She asked. He should be, Michael said. That's not what I asked. Michael sighed. He won't be angry the way most men are. It'll sit in him. He'll turn it over. He'll try to understand it. And fail. Maybe, Michael said. Maybe not. Anna pushed a strand of hair behind her ear. The wind tugged at it again, stubborn and insistent. He deserved better, she said. So did we, Michael replied. She didn't answer. They started down into the trees. The world changed there. The air darkened, the ground softened, and the scent of fir rose thick around them. Birds moved through the branches in small, nervous bursts. Michael walked ahead now. He moved with purpose but not confidence. Purpose could be faked. Confidence could not. Anna lingered a few steps behind. Michael glanced back. You're quiet. Just thinking. About him. About everything. Michael slowed his pace. We made the right choice. It doesn't feel right. It will. When? Michael didn't answer. His silence was not evasive. It was honest. There were things he could not promise her. There were things he would not lie about. They walked until the road opened into a clearing with a small wooden shelter. A bench sat underneath. Anna moved toward it and sat down. Michael stayed standing. We can rest, he said. I know. He watched her. Her face had that pale, washed-out look she got when she was thinking too deeply. He had seen it many times. It always troubled him. You want to turn back, he said. She looked up at him. No. You're sure? Yes. He nodded. Then we keep going. Anna reached for her bag. Let's go. But Michael held up a hand. Anna. What? Tell me the truth. I have. Tell me again. She inhaled. Then exhaled slowly. All right, she said. I don't regret leaving. I regret how leaving feels. Michael sat beside her. The bench creaked. That's natural. It doesn't feel natural. It will settle, he said. Mornings like this don't last forever. Anna folded her hands together. I hate that he stood there alone. He had to. I hate that we made him look the way he did. Michael shook his head. He didn't look broken. No, Anna said. He looked resigned. That's worse. Michael leaned back against the bench. He'll move on. Do you really believe that? He hesitated. I want to. Anna turned her eyes toward the narrow strip of sky visible through the branches. Let's go, she said. They stood and stepped back onto the road. The forest swallowed them again. Thomas walked through town without a destination. He moved slowly, as if weighing the ground beneath each step. The bakery opened its door, letting warm air spill into the street. A dog barked somewhere behind the church. Fishermen laughed near the supply shed. Life kept moving with no regard for him. He stopped at the small grocery, not because he needed anything, because he wanted to be around voices that didn't ask anything of him. Inside, the smell of cured meat and fresh bread filled the air. The shopkeeper, a woman named Marla, looked up from arranging apples. You're early today, she said. Couldn't sleep. Storm do it. Something else, Thomas said. Marla studied him. She had sharp eyes, the kind that could read 1,000 small changes without ever prying. Coffee's still hot if you want some, she said. Thomas nodded. Thanks. He poured a cup and leaned against the counter. Marla arranged the apples in steady rows, her hands sure and calm. Anna and Michael passed through early, she said casually. Did you see them? Thomas sipped. The bitterness steadied him. Yes. They going somewhere? They are. Long trip. Thomas took a moment before answering. Yes. Marla nodded. She didn't ask more. She handed him a small muffin wrapped in paper. Take this. I don't need it. I know, she said. Take it anyway. He took it. The gesture settled something in him, small but real. Thanks, he said. Come back later, she replied. You look like a man who shouldn't be alone all day. He almost smiled. Maybe. He stepped outside again. The air felt sharper now, the kind of sharpness that wakes a man whether he wants waking or not. He started walking. Not toward the pier this time. Up the hill. Toward the ridge. He didn't know why until he was already moving. Anna and Michael reached the second ridge by midday. The road widened there, and a cold wind swept across it in long, hard strokes. Anna pulled her coat tighter. "We need to find shelter for a while." "There's an old shed near the bend," Michael said. "We can stop there." They walked another 10 minutes until they saw it. A wooden structure leaning slightly to one side, with a rusted roof and a broken latch. Michael pushed the door open. The interior smelled of damp hay and old storms. Anna stepped inside and sat on an overturned crate. Michael closed the door, leaving a thin line of light along the floorboards. He looked at her. "You should eat something." "I'm not hungry." "You need the strength." Anna shook her head. Michael reached into his pack and placed a small piece of bread in her hands. "Eat," he said. She took a bite, then another. It wasn't much, but it helped. Michael sat across from her. "We could stop here for an hour." Anna nodded. She rubbed her hands together for warmth. Michael watched her closely. "He won't chase us," he said. "I know." "He won't try to change your mind." "I know that too." "Then what are you worried about?" Anna closed her eyes for a moment. "I'm worried about what happens after this." Michael tilted his head. "After today?" "Yes. We build a new life." "And if it doesn't hold?" she asked. Michael leaned forward. "It will." She looked at him. "You sound like you're trying to convince yourself." Michael didn't answer. The silence grew thick again. The shed creaked under a sudden gust of wind. Anna breathed out slowly. "I don't want to lose you too." "You won't." "You can't promise that." Michael's jaw tightened. "I can." She shook her head gently. "No. You can't." He lowered his eyes. The truth in her words settled deep, but he didn't fight it. They sat there listening to the wind thread through the boards. After a while Anna spoke again. "Michael." "Yes. If he comes after us, if he somehow does, I need you to let me speak to him alone." Michael looked up sharply. "Why?" "Because there are things only he and I understand." Michael's breath caught. "Anna, it's not about choosing him," she said. "It's about ending things clean." Michael leaned back. The crate under him groaned. "Do you think anything between the three of us can be clean?" Anna didn't answer. Thomas reached the first ridge just after noon. His legs were stiff, but he kept moving. The climb was harder than he remembered. He wasn't as young as he once was. The wind pushed against him strong enough to make his coat flap like a loose sail. When he reached the fence at the top, he stopped. The whole harbor lay below, small and distant. The boats looked like tiny points of light against the gray water. The town stood huddled and quiet, the way all small towns do when something unspoken moves through them. Thomas rested his hand on the fence. He didn't know if Anna and Michael had passed this way or taken the lower road, but he felt the pull of this path. The way it lifted a man into air that was sharper, more honest. He looked down at the muddy footprints near the gate. 2 sets. Fresh. He leaned over the relics of their passage. The prints were close together. The stride was steady. They were moving with purpose. He stood there for a long time, his breath slow. Then he stepped over the fence. He followed them. Not to stop them. Not to plead. Only to see the truth of what they had become. Of what all three had become. The wind rose behind him, pushing him forward. The trees ahead waited, dark and thick. Thomas walked into them without hesitation. The road closed behind him. Anna and Michael reached the end of the woods by mid-afternoon. The sky had shifted to a dull silver, the kind that warned of late rain. Anna stopped and looked up. "We need to move faster." Michael nodded. "The next town is only an hour from here." "Good." They walked, their steps quickening. Neither noticed the figure emerging from the trees behind them. Thomas paused under a tall fir, watching them from a distance that felt both safe and dangerous. He didn't call out. He didn't move closer. He only watched the two of them walking together, carrying their shared resolve like a fragile vessel between them. And though he had followed them, he felt no clarity. Only a long, slow pull inside his chest. Something like grief. Something like release. Something mixed too deeply to name. He stepped forward, his boots sinking softly into the damp soil. The sky darkened. The air tightened. And all three moved farther along that narrow road. Close enough to change one another forever. yet not close enough to see it coming. Chapter 3: The Visitor. The next morning came in slow, pale strokes of light along the hills. It was the kind of dawn that never truly decided what it wanted to be. The lake held a thin mist, and the air smelled of wet stone. Eli stood on the porch and felt the night lingering on him like a coat he couldn't quite shrug off. Inside, the house was quiet again. Mara had left before sunrise. She had told him she needed air, though she already had plenty of that up here in the mountains. He watched her cross the yard with her shoulders a little stiff, and he didn't call after her. Some silences felt earned. He poured coffee and waited for it to settle. Sam would come soon. They all knew it even if they didn't say it. The man had a way of showing up when the balance between them shifted. And Eli sensed it had shifted during the night, though he did not yet understand how. He drank slowly and let the warmth steady him. The knock came at the door as the light grew stronger. Eli didn't move at first. He had known it was coming, but knowing didn't make it easier. He opened the door. Sam stood there in his old canvas jacket, his hair damp from the walk. He looked tired but alive in the way he always did when he had spent a night wrestling with his own mind. "Morning," Sam said. He stepped inside without waiting. "Coffee's on," Eli said. "Always is." Sam walked to the window and looked out toward the lake. He squinted at the empty yard. "She's out early." "She is." Sam nodded as if that explained everything. It did not. Eli poured him coffee. Sam took it, wrapped both hands around the cup, and breathed in the steam. "You hear anything last night?" Sam asked. "Some wind. Rain. Nothing more." Sam gave him a look. "That's so." Eli didn't answer. The two men stood there, listening to the house settle around them. There had been a time when such mornings felt natural, when the three of them moved together like a single current. But the air now held an edge, the kind you could feel under your skin. Sam set his cup down. "I need to talk to her," he said. "I figured you would. I mean properly. Not the way we've been talking. Not the polite kind." Eli kept his eyes on the lake. "She might not want that. She might not. I still need it." Eli nodded. He could respect the honesty even when it cut. Mara returned a half hour later. She came up the path with her hair blown by the wind and her cheeks bright from the cold. She saw them through the window and slowed her steps. Eli watched her hesitate. Sam saw it too. When she entered the kitchen, the air tensed. "You're early," she said to Sam. He shrugged. "Didn't want to wait." She set her gloves on the table. "You could have given warning. Wouldn't have changed much." Mara looked from one man to the other. Her breath softened. "All right," she said. "Then talk." Sam stepped closer but not too close. He had learned to keep his distance when her eyes went sharp like that. "You left yesterday without a word," he said. "I stood on that damn ridge for an hour waiting. You knew that." "I did," she said. "I needed to think." "And you couldn't think with me there?" "No," she said, and the word was soft but final. Sam let the silence grow. Eli stayed still, not wanting to make any of it worse. Mara took a breath. "You came to tell me something. So tell it." Sam rubbed the back of his neck. "I don't know what you want from me anymore. And I don't know what you expect," she said. "You come back every few months with the same fire and the same apologies. It wears thin." He flinched. "I don't pick easy roads. I never have. I'm not asking for easy. I'm asking for steady. That's never been me." "I know." Again the silence. Eli watched both of them. He felt as if the world was tilting slightly, and he wasn't sure to which side. Sam looked at Mara with something close to pain. "I thought we had a chance." "We did," she said. "But chances don't wait forever." Sam stepped back then. Not much, but enough for the room to breathe again. Eli finally spoke. "You both should sit down." "No," Mara said. "I'm going to wash up." She left the kitchen. They heard water running, a door shutting, then nothing. Sam stared at the hallway she had gone down. "She's slipping away from me," he said. Eli didn't answer. Not because he didn't know, but because he did. They went out to the yard. The wind moved through the pines in slow gusts. Sam sat on the old wooden bench and leaned forward with his elbows on his knees. Eli stood beside him, hands in his pockets. You think she's done with me? Sam asked. I think she's tired, Eli said. Of me. Of all of it. Sam looked down at his boots. You and her spend a lot of time together up here. She needed company, Eli said. I was around. Sam lifted his eyes. Is that all? Eli felt the weight of the question. He had known it would come. Not today maybe, but eventually. It's complicated, Eli said. Sam let out a dry laugh. It always is with you too. Eli didn't defend himself. It wouldn't have mattered. Sam rose from the bench. If there's something I should know, say it. Eli shook his head. It isn't like that. But it could be, Sam said. Eli opened his mouth, then closed it. Sam saw the pause. He didn't look away. You're my friend, Sam said quietly. And she's, well, you know what she is. I know. I don't want to fight you. I don't want that either. Sam stepped closer. But if you lie to me, I'll know. Eli held his gaze. I'm not lying. Sam studied him, then turned toward the lake. All right, he said. Then let's go find her. They walked the trail along the water. Frogs croaked in the reeds. The sun broke through and threw white light across the surface, cutting the mist. Mara stood on the dock with her hands in her pockets. She didn't turn when she heard them. You came together, she said. We did, Sam answered. That's something. Eli stayed a little behind them. He watched the way the two of them stood facing the lake. Solid shapes against a bright world that didn't care how their hearts moved. Sam spoke first. I don't want to lose you. You might already have, Mara said. I'm trying to be honest. I can fight for you. I will if that's what you want. That's the problem, she said. I'm tired of being fought for. I want to be understood. Sam looked at her, and Eli watched something in him break a little. I don't know how to do that, Sam said. I know. Eli stepped closer then, though he still kept a respectful space. Mara, he said, maybe you should rest. We can talk later, all of us. She turned to him. Her eyes softened, but only slightly. No, she said. We talk now. Sam swallowed. All right. Mara took a slow breath. There's something you both need to hear, she said. She looked from Sam to Eli, and the moment stretched between them like a thin wire drawn tight. I've made a decision, she said. Neither man spoke. Mara stepped back so she could see them both clearly. I'm leaving, she said. The wind pushed across the lake. A gull cried. Sam's jaw tightened. Eli felt the ground shift beneath him. For how long? Eli asked. I don't know, she said. Sam shook his head. You're running. No, she said. I'm stopping. That's the difference. Sam took a step toward her. Where are you going? She hesitated. And then, south, she said. To the coast. Eli felt a cold line move through him. When? Mara looked down at the boards beneath her feet. Today, she said. Sam pressed his hand to his forehead and laughed under his breath, though it wasn't a laugh at all. Mara, you can't just walk away. I can, she said. And I am. Eli watched her. He saw the resolve. It was the kind that didn't bend. Sam looked at Eli as if searching for someone to blame. You knew, Sam said. No, Eli replied. You must have. I didn't. Sam stared at him, trying to read the truth beneath the words. Mara stepped between them gently. Don't do this, she said. Not now. Sam shook his head hard. You're both hiding something. We're not, Eli said. Mara closed her eyes. Please. Sam's voice cracked. Why now? Because if I stay, she said, I'll keep splitting myself between the two of you, and none of us will survive that. Sam turned away from them, staring out across the lake like he hoped it could offer him an answer. Eli felt something inside him tightening, like an old wound stitched too quickly. Mara, he said, let's sit. Let's talk this through. No, she said again. The talking is done. She stepped off the dock and started toward the house. Sam watched her go, frozen in place. Eli felt the moment closing in on them like a storm. Mara, Sam called after her. Don't go yet. She didn't turn. I'll be back in an hour, she said. If either of you want to say something that matters, say it then. She disappeared into the trees. The two men stood on the dock, their shadows long on the boards, the lake quieting around them. Sam spoke without looking at Eli. "This ends today," he said. "One way or another." Eli didn't answer. He stared at the path she had taken. The air felt charged, as if something heavy was about to break loose. The gull cried again overhead. The lake held its breath. And the hour ahead of them would change everything. Chapter 4: The Storm. The sky thickened before either man noticed it. The morning had been mild. A thin sun, a quiet lake, the faint tremble of spring air. But now a strange heaviness settled over the ridge. It crept in slow, then sudden, the way trouble often does. Eli saw the change first. He stood on the dock, watching the far shore blur into a washed-out blue. The pines darkened. The mountains seemed to pull closer, as if bracing for something. Sam kicked a loose board and paced. "She's running," he said. "This isn't clarity. It's fear." Eli didn't answer. He kept his eyes on the sky. Sam stopped pacing. "You hear me?" "I hear you." "You don't care much to respond." Eli pointed west. "Look." Sam turned. His face tightened. The clouds shifted low, carrying a color that wasn't natural to woodlands. Iron gray with a faint sickly yellow. The kind that meant the air was primed for violence. "Damn," Sam murmured. It came fast. "Storms do up here." He watched Sam measure the sky like a man sizing up an adversary. The wind picked up, moving in restless gusts across the lake, brushing waves into sharp little edges. "You think she'll come back early if she sees this?" Sam asked. "No," Eli said. "She'll try to pack first." Sam cursed under his breath. "Stubborn woman. She learned from us." Sam gave him a look. A hard one. But he didn't speak. A crack of thunder rolled over the water. It was distant but clear enough to warn them. Eli stepped off the dock. "We should secure the boats." Sam followed. "It won't hit hard, will it?" "It will." "How do you know?" Eli stopped, glanced up. "My father taught me storms. This one wants company." They moved to the shoreline. The first drops hit the water, big, spaced out, early droplets that felt more like warnings than rain. Sam bent to tighten the ropes on the smaller rowboat. "You think she's really leaving?" "I do." "And you don't want to stop her?" Eli pulled the second rope taut. "Wanting isn't the same as forcing." "That's not an answer." Eli didn't give him one. The wind changed direction. It came in sudden bursts, slapping water against the hulls. The lake began to churn in uneven patches, dark circles rippling outward. Sam wiped the rain from his forehead. "You ever think maybe all this talking just drives her further? Talking is all we have left. That's the trouble." Eli stood, brushing dirt from his hands. "We should get inside." Sam didn't move. He looked toward the house, then toward the path where Mara had disappeared. "I can't face her like this," Sam said. "Like what?" "Half raw. Half ruined." Eli almost smiled. "None of us are whole this morning." Sam's jaw clenched. "You love her." Eli didn't speak. The silence was its own confession. Sam shook his head. "I knew." Another crack of thunder hit, sharper this time. The air vibrated. Eli turned toward the house. "We'll talk when we're under a roof." But Sam didn't follow. He was staring at the ridge. "There," Sam said. "Look." A figure appeared at the tree line, small at first, then sharper as she descended the slope. Mara moved fast, her hair blown wild, her coat gripped tight at the collar. She wasn't running but close to it. Eli's breath eased a little. Sam exhaled hard. "She came back early," Sam said. Eli didn't answer. They walked toward her. Rain hit the dirt in a thin, steady sheet. The storm wasn't here yet, but it was coming. Mara reached them breathless. Her cheeks were flushed from cold and haste. "You need to get inside," she said. "The radio warned about a line of fast cells. They'll hit the ridge first." "We saw the sky," Eli said. "What about the boats?" she asked. "Secured," Sam replied. Lightning flashed behind the hills. It wasn't close, but it lit the sky in a way that made everyone flinch. Mara steadied herself. "We have a problem." Eli felt the shift in her voice. "What kind?" "The upper trail collapsed," she said. "A tree went down. It blocked the road." Sam stiffened. "Blocked?" "Completely." That road is the only way off this ridge. I know. Sam swore. You can't leave then. Mara looked at him. I can't leave yet. The storm cracked again, closer now. Eli gestured toward the porch. Go inside. But Mara stayed where she was. Her breath came in uneven pulls. I was heading back to pack, she said. Then I heard the radio. I turned around fast. Maybe too fast. What else? Eli asked gently. She swallowed. There was a man on the road. Eli and Sam exchanged a look. What kind of man? Sam asked. I don't know. Tall. Jacket with no hood. He wasn't local. What did he want? Eli asked. He didn't speak. Just looked at me. And then he walked into the woods. Sam stepped forward. Show me. No, Eli said. Storm's too close. Sam ignored him and started toward the path. Mara caught his sleeve. Sam, stop. He did, but barely. Lightning flashed again. A long roll of thunder followed. Let him go, Mara said to Eli. He won't listen anyway. Eli set his jaw. I'll go with him. No, she said. You stay with me. Sam turned. You're afraid of being alone with him now? She shook her head. No. I'm afraid of being alone. The wind shifted harder now. It whipped leaves into little spirals at their feet. Sam looked at her, then at Eli. Half an hour, he said. If I don't find anything, I come back. Take a radio, Eli said. Sam grabbed one from the porch hook and disappeared into the trees. Eli and Mara stood in the rising wind. The lake raged harder, white patches forming along the surface. You shouldn't have let him go, Mara whispered. I didn't, Eli said. He was already gone. They moved inside as the rain thickened. The first hard hits of the storm slapped the windows. The house felt small and wooden and too old to withstand anything serious. Mara paced the room. That man, the way he watched me. I didn't like it. Eli shut the door and bolted it. Probably a hiker. No. He knew the storm was coming. He wasn't stranded. He had a purpose. What makes you sure? The way he stood. Like he was waiting. Eli frowned. For what? Lightning strobed across the window, illuminating her face. She looked pale beneath it. For us, she whispered. Thunder cracked so loud the floor seemed to tremble. Eli crossed the room, steady but cautious. You're shaking. I'm cold, she said. Sit. She did. Rain hammered the roof. The wind howled in the chimney like an animal trying to claw its way down. Mara rubbed her arms, then looked at Eli. He's going to get himself hurt, she said. Sam's stronger than he looks. That's not the point, she murmured. I didn't want this to happen today. What did you expect? Not a storm. Not a stranger. Not the two of you circling each other like wounded things. Eli sat across from her. You made a decision. People respond to decisions. She looked at him for a long time. And you? How do you respond to it? Eli didn't answer. Lightning split the sky again. The thunder hit immediately after, sharp, violent, close. The power flickered, then steadied. Mara leaned forward. Say something. What do you want me to say? The truth. Eli's voice was low. You know it already. Say it anyway. He opened his mouth. But the radio crackled before he could speak. Sam's voice came through, sharp, breathless, almost drowned by wind. Eli, come in. You there? Eli pressed the button fast. I'm here. Heavy breathing on the other end. Found something, Sam said. Not the man. Something else. What is it? A pause. Wind howling. The crack of branches snapping. Tracks, Sam said. Fresh. Leading toward your lower trail. Eli felt Mara stiffen beside him. What kind of tracks? Boots, Sam said. Same tread pattern I saw last year near the river after that break-in at Nolan's cabin. Mara covered her mouth. Eli's voice hardened. Sam, get back here now. Can't, Sam said. Storm's closing the ridge. And damn it. What? A long painful pause. Then, I'm not alone out here. The radio hissed. Sam. Eli said sharply. Sam, answer. Static. Then a distant crash. Then nothing. Mara's hand gripped Eli's arm. Eli. He stood fast. The storm roared against the walls like a living thing. Eli looked at the door. He knew what he had to do. But he also knew he couldn't leave her. Not in this storm. Not with a stranger somewhere on the ridge. Mara stood too. Her voice was barely a threat. What do we do? Eli stared at the radio, then at the door being rattled by wind. He made his choice. And the chapter ends right here. With Eli's jaw set, the storm screaming outside, Sam missing in the woods, and a stranger moving somewhere between them.